Action-packed video next. We are going to pull shafts from 3 different clubs, and I'm going to show you to them next. Welcome back to the Golf Shop. Jim McCleary here, and this is where we talk about golf club repairs, golf club reviews, and golf club fittings. All source scores can go low. If you would, go across the bottom, hit that like and subscribe button. That way you get more of these videos when they come up. Also, we have a live stream. It's on Mondays, 17:30, 5:30 Eastern p.m., obviously. And we talk about the same stuff. It's live. It's you, me. Ask your questions. We try to get you the answers. And it's a great little community that we're into. Lastly, and this is one more self-serving, I now have another channel called Pars and Pours. It is a golf-centric whiskey channel. If you like that kind of stuff, if you want to hear about more stuff, come on over there and visit me and like and subscribe there. Okay, next. We got to pull some shafts. We got to pull some graphite shafts. Is it any different than pulling a steel shaft? In most cases, no. But the technique does change. So, what are we pulling first? We're pulling a Ping adapter. I know you probably can't see this. Let's see if it'll focus on its own. There it is. All right, so it's a Ping adapter. We got to pull that one out for a lefty. Then I've got one that goes into the annals of history. Is a, hopefully that comes back out. There we go. A Ping Zing 2 metal wood, fairway wood. It is a 7. I've already pulled the 5. This one's kind of unique. And lastly, but not leastly, is a Big Bertha Fusion. All right. It's kind of dirty on the bottom. Let's see if we can make this one come in. There's too much light. There we go. Something along that lines. The camera doesn't want to focus. Anyway, this is also a 7 wood, and they all have their own little intricate issues. So we'll start this way and work backwards. So obviously this is a bore through. Also it has this big ginormous hosel on it. So what goes on in here? Number one is it's a stepped head. So it's really big in the top to receive this ferrule, and then it gets really small so that it'll accept the shaft. So you got to be able to pull this thing out. Now, the tool that I'm going to use, most likely GolfWorks used to sell this, so I'm going to keep using it like it's available. All right. However, if it is not, the only way you're going to probably get this guy out of here is with heat. Now you're going to want to use heat on all the different directions, and I'll talk about it when we get to the bench. And then you're going to want to start drilling it out. In fact, to the point, you're probably just going to want to get this thing nice and hot and seeing if you can't grab it and just destroy the shaft, because it's not coming out any easier way. Either drill it out, get it nice and hot, and just, you know, forcibly just take it apart and then drill it out some more so that you clean it up, right? Don't like doing that. It's time consuming, it's ugly, and there's a real chance to hurt the club. So what I use is a tool that will go over top of all this so you can pull it off easier, and we'll show you that. All right, the second one from the Ping. This thing, when you first look at this looks really small, or smaller than, say, 335. And I had to measure it. I measured it right here, and yes, it was just above it, and they do fit in there as opposed to the other one. The other one had a drilling hole here as a relief point, and I'll show you that. And so this will be just basically a normal pull, except for the fact that the hosel here is so thin, you've really got to watch out. You've really got to watch out that the piece that does the pulling doesn't slide and come up in here like that and start scratching the hosel. So we got to be really careful of that one. And then last, and this one, it truly is last, is that there. We got to pull this one out. So what I have is a screw assembly that will go into here, and you will pull from this end and then just pull it off of there. Now the trick here is this comes with a rubber ferrule, so you're going to need a new ferrule. So we're going to need a new specialized ferrule for the other one, a new specialized ferrule for this. So let's go to the bench and try this out. All right, so we're back to the bench, and this is the Ping adapter, and there's the adapter, and this is the setup that I use. It's a screw and a washer, and the washer is what fits up against the shaft puller. And you say, Jim, well, there's other adapters out there, and truly there are, and there are other sizes to be sure. And when you buy this little kit gizmo from Golfworks, they have those. So I would recommend this one in a big way. Now, a big thing about this one is the Ping had a whole bunch of verdigris on it, so I've already cleaned it off, and turns out that acetone really eats that stuff up. So there's a tip for you. This thing's gonna be packed full of different tips, so stay with me. So first things first, pullers. All right, you see this puller, and every time I do this, somebody asks me, where do you get this? You can't. They don't make this one anymore. It was called the Python puller. If you see it on eBay and somebody's got one, get it, because you can rebuild some of the parts that are on here, no problem. The hydraulic puller is a 2-pound puller with a little bit of grinding on the base. It fits in there just fine. The jaws are the 3 inches you can get out of Golfworks or even Golf Mechanics, and those are the usable pieces in here. So the other ones that they have, there are screw types. Well, the rest of them, there's hydraulic types and there's screw types, and then there's a pull type. The pull type, the only one I've seen lately that's still in production is at Golfworks. It's a very long unit, and it works on the lever system, where you put out a big old rod on a lever and you're creating this extra force to be able to push the head off. A lot of guys there like that. I'm not a fan, but you know, I always thought one might be able to modify it with a hydraulic mount and take off all the articulation and just use it to push it off. That's a thought. The other one is the screw types. Now, there's 2 kinds of screw types. There's the reverse thrust screw type, which Golf Mechanics has. I like that one a lot. It seems to use your hand. You can create a lot of torque and control the amount of pressure that you use to push the head off or pull the shaft out, whatever you want to look at it, and be okay. The last one, and the one I started with, was a Mitchell puller. And the Mitchell puller fits into a vise. It's a very space-friendly unit, but my thing, the drawback was the jaws were only like that big, but you can control how much force you put on them. I just liked a little bit more grab. All right, a little bit more grab. Now, they were a giant pain in the butt for Titleist and Ping bore-throughs, which we don't see those very many anyhow. So it very well may be a thing that you could use and not spend a whole lot of money on. Now, there's plenty more out there. There's one more hydraulic one, I believe Billy Bob's even sells. And it's a bench mount. It clamps to the side of a bench, or you can put it in a vise and it pushes straight up using a hydraulic clamp or a hydraulic press. So there's the different ones you can use. So let's get used to this one, or get to this one. This one, normally when you have newer ones don't take a whole lot of heat, particularly on the adapters, because they're made out of aluminum, and they tend to transfer the heat very, very well. And you want to keep moving, because this is a black anodized, and you could get it too hot and it could bubble the paint, and then all of a sudden it doesn't look good. Now, the issue is that it doesn't matter because it's showing up inside in the head. Well, you know, you're going to hide most of it, but it's a professional thing. All right, let's see what we can do here. And out it comes. All righty. So one more thing, and this thing just bothers me to death, is, and I saved it because I was using it to pull one. Normally you get like company shaft stickers, and they will be stuck right here, and it's just right where these things grab onto. These do not grab like these. This is adhesive, and it wants to slide every single time you do something like that, and it just absolutely sucks. So what you got to do is you got to take these stickers off, apply a little heat, pull the stickers off, clean them up, and then they work really good. Hence, that's what you just saw. All right, let's get rid of these. And then best part here is we've got the head for it to go back into, which aids in the cleaning. I'll take it out. There we go. Goes back into my pile. And then we're going to put this guy on there. There we go. I'm using my apron because I don't want to get burnt. Could I be using gloves? Yes, I could be using gloves. All right. So we've got this one pulled and ready for, as soon as I get, there we go. Now again on this one, another pro tip is that this one gets verdigris in it, and sometimes it's really, really hard for them to come out. The best thing to do is get it really loose to where this screw is coming out this way. Just put this guy in here like this and get you a no bounce hammer and just go bam and push it right out and you're good to go. All right, I'm going to clean this real quick so we can move to the next one. All right. So we got that one pulled and cleaned. That's the thing. The big deal is it's really easy to clean when there's heat still in the unit. All right, next one. We're going to go for the Ping Zing. Now this is what I would call your standard pull, except for the fact that the hosel is just so massively thin. So this one is just an application of heat, and here we go. Okay, that was 20 seconds in each spot to prevent from getting onto the paint, and it's about a minute. However, I learned I'm going to need more. Now, Ping, back in the day of this Ping Zing, really glued their stuff in well. Okay, look at Ping I2s, Ping Zing, and the irons. Those things were so difficult to get out a lot of times, and you had to use a lot more heat. Now, the difference here is you look at this, Jim, and you say, well, geez, that doesn't look like a lot of paint. And really, it's not. The finish on this is what's called the tumble effect. And what you would do is you would paint it, and as it was just on the ragged edge of drying, you would put it in a tumbler with a very delicate set of rocks and just let it turn around in there, and it would give it this marbling kind of look. So we're going to give it a couple more shots here. Okay, so now we lay this one in the clamp, get it up in there. So in doing this, I pushed this all the way up so I know I was grabbing against that. There we go. And then that one comes out. That was because that came out nice and easy because of all the added heat that I gave it. Now, do you really want to do a lot of heat all the time? No, you don't. You want to keep this to a minimum, and I'll clean this out and I'll come back and tell you why. All right, we got that one done. So, why do we not want to apply a lot of heat? Well, a golf shaft is made, you know, the whole idea of taking this thing apart is an application of heat to reduce the epoxy bond or break the epoxy bond between the shaft and the hosel, and that goes at a certain temperature. Well, golf shafts are literally glued together. There's epoxy that puts strands together and they glue them together, and the real trick is how much or what type of glue, types of strands, in the areas that they're made. And if you put in too much heat, you can actually get into the shafts and start destroying the epoxy bond in the golf shaft. That's the problem. Now, you're going to see some stuff on the internet and it says, oh, I do this all the time, and he screws the thing out. No. The chance of hurting your golf shaft are just logarithmically higher than if you just used a puller. Particularly if you're going to be one of those guys that likes to tinker and wants to change golf shafts, a shaft puller is a must commodity that you have to have. You just got to have one. All right, because if you do this, I guarantee you the strands are going to come and they're going to separate, and you've just destroyed a shaft. That can be anywhere from $100 to $700, right? So use the right tool, and then that way you get the right setup. Okay, next thing. What's the tool, Jim? Well, it's an adapter piece. And it's an adapter piece I've had for a long, long time. And it looks like that. Now, Golfworks, I believe, is black. This is actually a milled piece of plastic. I don't know what kind of plastic, a poly plastic. And what I'm going to do is I have to take off the grip, and what it does is it fits over the shaft and it sits in there like that. It could sit in there like that as well. It could sit in there like that. But however the shaft puller goes, it's most likely going to be like this. And it's going to sit in there, and it's going to pull it through. See that? It's going to go like that. Okay. And it's a piece of plastic, and it's served me for a long, long, long time. A gentleman in Rhode Island made this for me. So here's another thing. So we've told you a trick on the Ping adapter. We've showed you a trick on the Ping 7-wood. Now we're showing you tricks on the Callaway Fusion. Now the thing with Callaway Fusion is this paint is very, 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 very soft, so I want to stay away from it as much as I possibly can. So in this case, I'm really going to hit the bottom of this because I want all the heat to get into the shaft, not into the head as far as on the painted surface. Now I went a little bit longer than I would on the side, but as you see it's starting to discolor, and that's what we're looking for. Yes, I'm going to fix that later. Alright, let's give this thing a try. Put a little bit more heat on it. And you notice how I stayed away from the top. I'm just trying to save literally just save the paint. Voila! And there we go. And you see how that comes off. Now to show you what we were talking about earlier. So this goes into the head. See how there's more ferrule here? That's the adapter part when they had these called adapters. And that's bigger inside the head, and then you have just that little bit of space that's being grabbed on by the bottom of the head. Alright, so we now have this. And we got to watch ourselves because I got it pretty warm. Let's see about getting a glove. That's better. Alrighty, so now what we got to do is we got to clean this out. I'll be right back. Okay, so that was that's pulling 3 different graphite shafts, and pulling this. If they were steel, the process would literally be the same, except for you could probably grab them and pull them off because the steel can handle the torque. There's no glue that makes them come apart like in the graphite. Now I've got to put these guys together, and if you want to see the final edition of what that Callaway or any of these look like, join me on Mondays at 17:30 or 5:30 p.m. Eastern on the live stream, and I'm going to do a little bitty video, and then we can talk about it then. And just come see us then, and we'll talk about some of that. If you got any questions, put them in the show notes below. As always, let's see your scores. Go low.